Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to the Miami Beach Israel Revival and Bnei Yeshua Synagogue, home of the Miami Beach Israel Revival. Come on in to the World Center of True House Revival. We're happy you're with us this morning. We're going to experience a time in the Word of Yahweh where we listen to the voice of the Ruach and get the mind of Yeshua in the matters of the latter-day restoration of his wayward people Israel. We thank you for signing up and being a Video Club member, and we pray that this upcoming hour and a half is a blessing to you, your mishpacha, your chaverim, family and friends, and all those you choose to share this dynamic truth of Israel's two-house latter-day restoration with. All of our messages use the true name of Yahweh, bringing glory to both the Son as well as the Father. So come on in and join us right here in Bnei Yeshua Synagogue in the Miami Beach Israel Revival. Shalom. The 8th Moadim of Vayikra 23, and today is that day. It is his Shabbat, which must mean that you are his people. So let's greet one another in Ahava this morning and his Shabbat. In Ahava, the Hava of our Moshiach, in Yeshua's mighty name. Shabbat Shalom! Shabbat Shalom. Greet one another this morning in the name of Yahshua HaMashiach. Shalom,
Out of my chase, says not by might, not by power, but by my ruach. Your host. To call out Israel, Ephraim, return to Torah, Shua, Yeshua, HaMashiach. We are the bride of Yeshua, called out of darkness into your marvelous light. Unto our heavenly bridegroom, offering to you Shabbat sacrifice. May it be acceptable to you, through Yeshua. May it be a fragrance that is pleasing to thee. You know he's Melech Israel. He's the king of Israel. Melech called him king of all the earth.
our normal way of teaching, amen?
Rabbi.
And there's a reason, huh?
Rabbi.
Yeah, more rabbinical. That's true. Less Pentecostal and more rabbinical.
Yeah.
But I don't fit any mold in particular.
Out of the box.
Yes. They threw away the mold. Yahweh threw away the mold when He decided to send me into this ministry. You may have noticed when you came in. A sheet listing the Moadim, the feasts, and you'll notice that they changed. Did you kind of notice that? And there's a lot of things that we need to talk about today.
Yes.
Much. None of it is bad, but we need to talk about some things.
Can we talk?
And we're going to talk. Now, as you know, about 4 or 5 years ago, Rabbi Moshe was on the cutting edge of what I felt at that time, what Yahweh was showing us in terms of spotting the crescent moon and seeing the new moon as it appears in Yerushalayim. Okay? Roberto, please keep checking that AC like we spoke about before. So, I believed, and I know that in our walk with Yahweh, we are always progressing and going forward, step by step. And you're not going to, what I'm going to share with you this afternoon, a medium and 9, right? Is certainly not a mea culpa. I am not going to apologize for anything. There's nothing to apologize for. We all seek Yahweh to the best of our ability. And no one has all truth except Yahshua HaMashiach, who has all truth. And Yahweh gives us truth, and we're expected to walk in the truth that Yahweh gives us. Not more than Yahweh gives us, and not less than Yahweh gives us. Amen? And so, many years ago, we had many of you remember our Shamish, Chaim Goldman. And then we had another brother who became our Shamish, who was Yochanan Mascaro. And then we had our current Shamish, Roberto. And one thing that always used to drive us crazy is, what do we do with the feast? There are so many different opinions. And there are so many different ways of reckoning the feast. How do how do we properly approach this subject that basically nobody agrees on? I mean, you're hard-pressed to find two rabbis who agree on how to approach the feast. Are you with me?
Yes.
And so, being a cutting-edge kind of guy, I kept pounding it into my shamashim that we need to spot the feast from Yerushalayim and the new moon. The Rosh Chodesh spotted as a crescent, the first sighting of the crescent moon from Yerushalayim. Amen?
Amen.
But then this year, after about 4 or 5 years of doing that, against the trend, against the norm, Yahweh started dealing with me about thinking about, wait a second, Israel is scattered to the four corners of the earth. Not all of Israel is in Jerusalem, and not everybody on the earth, believe it or not, has a telephone.
Yeah.
And believe it or not everybody on the earth has the internet.
Right? Amen.
And I know that's hard to believe for those of us who are Americans, but it's very difficult to believe that other people out there don't have the means. There's still a lot of the world that doesn't have a phone or an internet. How do they find out about the crescent moon? So we started thinking, wait a second, maybe the crescent moon at Key West is a pretty good idea, or maybe spotting the Key moon at in Sunrise, right next to the National Car Rental Center. It's a good place to spot the new moon.
Side is pretty close to home, right?
Yeah, it's not that far. Ted, always with a quick quip from Ted. So, being in the way of righteousness and being someone like yourself who wants to seek out the truth, I started asking questions. And then I emailed some people and got no answers that I thought were satisfactory. But interestingly enough, I always check my calendar calculations and whatever I wrote, because the word he always says, in the multitude of counselors there is wisdom.
Amen.
And this is not, in case you didn't know that, in case you're new to the Miami Beach Israel Revival, we don't run a one-man dog and pony show. I'm insecure enough to ask other people what they think. Or I'm secure enough, depending on how you look at it. I always run things by other people. It could be Roberto, it could be Carrie, it could be... But when it comes to calendar issues, it's always Melba Thomas. Because she's on.
She's on.
When it comes to the calendar, she is on.
Amen.
And the reason is because she's in the same search that I've been on.
Yes.
She doesn't want to settle for yesterday's formula.
Right.
She wants to press into the truth.
Right.
And so we always talk about calendar issues, and we were both exploring the validity of the local sighting of the new moon as opposed to Yerushalayim.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh.
But then I found this week, as I ran some more things by her, that Yahweh was again giving us a spirit of dissatisfaction, not with him, but with the ways of man. And we wanted to press forward, and so I found myself having everything Yahweh was showing me confirmed. And of course, Roberto and I had meetings, and we talked, and we banged heads. The same thing me and Chaim used to do, and the same thing me and Yochanan used to do, and Brian was in on some of those. And, I mean, it is so difficult. And there's so many reckoning methods, and everyone has positives, and everyone has flaws. So if I was behind the pulpit, I can bang on the table, and you think I knew what I was talking about. Right? Then you say, wait a second, but I got to check everything out against the word of Yahweh. There's one problem. Everybody's using the same word of Yahweh and getting 10 different ways of reckoning the calendar. So then if I send everybody on the internet and the thousands of people around the world who support Your Arms to Israel, if I send them on a 40-day fast to seek Yahweh and finally get the answer to how to reckon time, you would think, if it's the same Ruach and everybody's hearing from the same Ruach, you would think everybody would come back and we'd all be on the same sheet of music. But I'll guarantee you, we'd have the law told me as many different reckonings as we do now before everybody fasted and prayed.
Maybe a couple extra new ones.
And that's right, and then a few new ones thrown in. So in the process of this reevaluation, one thing came clear. Rabbi Moshe Kanichowski is called, I may not be called to do too many things, but one thing that I'm called to do is to bring clarity
Amen.
and truth
Yes.
and clarity.
Amen.
And what we've been going through is it's not clarity, it's insanity. We don't know when to ask our employer for weekdays off. It could be Monday, it could be Tuesday, it could be Wednesday, and then the employer says, well, I can give you off for the Jewish holidays. And you say, no, I don't need off for the Jewish holidays. So what holidays are you taking off for?
Right.
Well, there's this fat rabbi in Miami Beach, and he tells us that the Jewish calendar is wrong. And he tells us that that the new moon is 2 days later, and that it's not local time, it's Jerusalem time. So now the boss looks at you and go, I gotta keep an eye on this person. Because they not be in no church, they not be in no synagogue, they be in a cult. Hello? How many know what I'm talking about?
Amen.
So I mean, it's bad enough to be spoken against because of the blood of Yeshua, but when people think you're in a cult, I mean, you know, the harsh treatment at work really starts, right? You're not just in Yeshua, you're in a Yeshua cult. Turn to your neighbor and say, we're not a Yeshua cult. And we're not a Yeshua club either. We are the body of Yeshua.
Amen.
We are the people of Yahweh. Now we know from 1 Corinthians 14:33 that Yahweh is not the author of confusion.
Yep.
And so we've got some Messianic congregations following the Jewish calendar. We've got other Messianic congregations going from the local new moon sighting in Kingdom City, Missouri, or Las Cruces, New Mexico, or Santa Ana, California. Then we have other groups that go, no, you have to go by the Jerusalem new moon, and so no one is on the same sheet of music. But as the shepherd, listen, my calling, my job is not to settle this. Do you understand? I'm too small to settle this. The Pharisees and the Sadducees didn't talk to each other over this. Okay? The Pharisees and the Sadducees didn't talk to the Essenes, and the Essenes withdrew to the wilderness over this. Read the writings of the Dead Sea Scrolls. One of the reasons they separated from the Sadducees in Yerushalayim was over the reckoning of time. This is nothing new. That's why you had different sects of Judaism, because people could not agree on the reckoning of time. And they all had the right motive to please Yahweh. So this is nothing new. The fact that we struggle shows that we want to please Yahweh.
Amen.
Our heart's desire is to be like Yahweh and to lead the people of Israel, for whom I am responsible in many ways, as you are, into the truth. So what is our motive? Our motive is to do what's right, what the word of Yahweh says.
Amen.
But the problem with that is how you interpret different words in the word of Yahweh. For instance, in Devarim, in Deuteronomy 16:1, it says, guard the month of Aviv. Now, a crescent mooner will say, the word shomer means observe. That means you have to see it. Observe. You see? Someone that doesn't believe in the crescent moon will say, no, it doesn't mean observe, it means guard.
Right.
Obey.
Amen.
Are you with me? Amen. The truth of the matter is, if we'll be honest with ourselves, the truth of the matter is no one knows the truth here. Yeshua knows the truth. All we can do is seek out the truth. All we can do is be humble enough to be corrected when we are wrong. And as I said, I'm not here to do a mea culpa. I don't know I'm wrong. It may turn out that I was right. Isn't that weird? How's that for weirdness? You think you're correcting yourself, only to find out later you were right in the first place. Has that ever happened to you? Say, oh man, I should have bought that car. Oh man, I should have married that dude. Oh man, I shouldn't have broke up with him. Now I'm left with a loser. Look at this bum. How many know what I'm talking about?
I don't know.
So Yahweh knows our heart. And it is our desire to nail the feast down, because we're not just responsible for Bnei Yeshua. We literally lead much of the Messianic Israel movement. I say that in great awe. Great awe and humility. It's incredible what happens. I mean, people look to us for leadership. So what do? Yahweh started vexing my spirit. I said, the people are confused. Do they tell their employer they need Tuesday off, Wednesday, Thursday, pick a day? What day? We don't know. When we hear from Jerusalem. Well, what happens to people that don't have a phone? What happens to the people in local sighting? Oh, well, they can see the moon locally, right? Wrong. I'll show you how that's wrong too. I will show you today how every system to the natural mind is wrong. And if we don't get the mind of Yeshua on this thing, we're all gonna die in confusion. Are you with me? Mm-hmm. So my job as a shepherd is to try. My goal in this whole thing is not to apologize, not to say I was wrong, not to take us in a different direction. That's the easy thing. Mm-hmm. If I say to you I was wrong, that's easy. How many times have you heard me get behind this bema and tell you I was wrong? Mm-hmm. Plenty. I've even come back the next week and corrected a teaching that I did the previous week.
Yep, that's true.
That I said was wrong.
That is true.
With those of you who have been with me for a while. That's not the issue. That's not the issue. But I can't admit I'm wrong because I can't prove I'm wrong. Or I can't prove that I was wrong. What I can prove is that we've been going nuts with this thing. How many have been, let's be honest with me. Every year it changes. We don't know why. It's like we need some reasons. Yeah. And so I want to go over a few positions. Now, by the time I share what I'm going to share with you this afternoon, you may not agree with me, then that's fine. We could agreeably agree to disagree. Okay, I'm not expecting everyone here to agree with me. Even a brother like Zekman, who's been on the mission field, he may not agree with me. He's keeping his own calendar. And probably 90% of what I'm going to say, I'm 90% sure he's not going to agree with. But that's not my concern. Okay, what I'm going to be sharing with you over the next couple hours is not to convince you that I'm right. Mm-hmm. It's with the goal to bring clarity to what we're doing.
Amen.
And to end the insanity of what we've been doing. If I haven't been fair, it's not to the people on the internet and around the world that follow our ministry. It's to you guys. Because I don't have a 9-to-5 job. I'm not in that situation. I can take off any day. So we've got to get some clarity on this thing. You understand? That's my job. So this morning's message is bringing clarity.